With the release of The Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 3 coming up very shortly, we're once again going to make some massive predictions about the journey of Din Djarin and the child, based on the information released officially by Disney and what we saw in the last episode. So, before we get into it, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to be notified as soon as I release my full recap plus breakdown video of The Mandalorian Chapter 11 as soon as it releases. To begin, we once again received confirmation that the length of the episode will be 40 minutes, very similar to the runtime of Chapter 10. I was hoping that we would continue to see the long, almost 1 hour episodes like the first chapter of the season was, but if the story continues to progress, 40 minutes is definitely enough to pack in some awesome content. Following that, we were again given the small description and synopsis of the episode, which actually tells us quite a lot about what will go down. So, here it is. The Mandalorian braves the high seas and meets unexpected allies. Right away, this tells us that after escaping the ice planet with the massive spiders, who were most likely close relatives to the Krykners in Rebels, the Mando will finally arrive at his destination on the water world that we saw in the trailer. I did actually predict that we would be headed to this watery planet in the last episode, but of course the Mando ran into some trouble with the New Republic and Dave Filoni's character Trapper Wolf, so that prediction moves over to this episode. A lot of us have been speculating about which water world this could actually be, and I did believe that it was going to be Mon Cala because of the huge amounts of Quarren and Mon Calamari walking along the fishing docks that we saw in the trailer, but this is now confirmed to not be the case. Unfortunately, we now know that this is impossible because Peli Motto instructed Din Djarin to travel to the planet Coliban and its watery moon, Trask, which were located very nearby and in the same galactic sector as Tatooine, the Arcanist sector. On top of this, he wasn't able to use his hyperdrive, making it impossible to go pretty much any great distance at all. Mon Cala is of course not in the Arcanist sector of the galaxy and is actually incredibly far from Tatooine, being many light years away in the Calamari sector. So now that we know for sure that the Mando will be landing on the estuary moon of Trask, that brings us straight to the second part of the synopsis, which says that he meets unexpected allies. From the trailer alone, we already know that Sasha Banks' character will be one of those allies, as she appeared in the dark robes, silently observing the Mando and the child as they strolled across the fishing docks on the planet. Again, there are a lot of theories about who this may be, with Sabine Wren from Star Wars Rebels being the most popular one, as The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline did report that Sasha Banks had been cast as her before we even saw her in the trailer. Some others believe that she is Verla from the Darth Vader comics, but seeing her in the Star Wars 2020 comic, which is only a few years before The Mandalorian Season 2 is set, I think Sasha Banks looked slightly too young for it to be her. The Armorer's speech about the Jedi from Season 1 also played over the exact time where Sasha Banks' character was revealed, so maybe this does back up the Verla theory, but I'm not fully convinced. But let me know in the comments who you think the dark-robed figure was, because I'm sure she'll play a major role in the episode and may even appear in more episodes as the series continues. According to IMDb, Sasha Banks' character is also set to appear for all of the remaining episodes of the show following Chapter 11, so if that's correct, I think for sure she's going to be a Mandalorian of some kind, maybe a former Night Owl who will stick around with the main group and continue to help teach the child the ways of the Mandalorians. If she does happen to be a Night Owl, this will create a very intriguing and interesting conflict between Sasha Banks' character and the Armorer, who is most likely a Maul loyalist and one of Maul's former Mandalorian super commandos who fought against the Night Owls at the Siege of Mandalore. The super commandos were of course completely accepting of an outsider holding the Darksaber and ruling Mandalore as they followed Maul, but the Night Owls on the other hand would absolutely never support an outsider. This may continue the plot thread which was opened in the Clone Wars Season 5 and later touched on in the Clone Wars Season 7. It is also of course completely possible that the Armorer is simply a Zabrak under the helmet and armor, but the horns being a tribute to Maul also make a ton of sense. If you want to check out my full Rookcast is the Armorer theory, just click on the card on screen now or look for the pinned comment down below. I really love the theory and it would be awesome if it was correct. Following that, I also think Bo-Katan Kryze from both the Clone Wars series and Star Wars Rebels will make her first appearance in the show as the other ally that the synopsis references. Bo-Katan has already been confirmed to appear in the show, being played by Katie Sackhoff, her voice actor from the animated TV shows, so this could be the episode that she finally comes into live action. But let me know if you think it's right for Bo-Katan to appear in The Mandalorian Season 2, because she's certainly very important to the story of the Darksaber, and I can't wait to see how she lost it. And let me know right now if you think Moff Gideon earned the Darksaber in the traditional Mandalorian way with a fight, or do you think he got it in a very dodgy way and probably doesn't deserve to hold it? She is of course also a Night Owl, so it's possible that the Mandalorian covert on the planet, which we heard about in the last episode, is actually one formed by the Night Owls after the Great Purge and the loss of the Darksaber to Moff Gideon. If Bo-Katan does make her appearance in the show, she will almost certainly explain to Din Djarin exactly what went down at the Siege of Mandalore, the Night of a Thousand Tears, and the Great Purge during the Imperial era where she lost the Darksaber. She is almost certainly going to want to track down and reclaim the Darksaber from Moff Gideon, but it's also possible that she's just completely defeated and doesn't believe that she will ever be able to get it back after such a tragedy for the Mandalorian people. And let me know if you think Bo-Katan would want revenge and attempt to reclaim the Darksaber, or do you think she would accept her defeat and allow other Mandalorians to attempt to take it back instead? In the trailer, we also saw Quarren and others carrying the same type of egg canister that the Frog Lady has her spawn in, meaning that this may be a pretty common occurrence on the watery moon. We also saw Mando board a boat with a person who is probably a local ferrying Din Djarin and the Frog Lady to a specific spot where the eggs can be safely grown. Maybe the captain of the boat is actually the husband of the Frog Lady, which she mentioned in the last episode. If this is the case, I think the Frog Lady will be successful in reaching the location to spawn her eggs, and then as Din Djarin and the child are leaving the planet, they will be stopped by Bo-Katan and Sasha Banks' character. The IMDb page for the episode also claims that Moff Gideon will be making his debut for the season in this episode, so I think that if this is correct and Bo-Katan does actually appear in the episode, we will probably get some backstory on how Moff Gideon escaped his execution for war crimes. It's also very possible that Bo-Katan appears simply as a flashback, or in the form of Sasha Banks' character telling Mando the story of how she lost the Darksaber, so we'll have to wait and see. I really hope she does show up in person because it would be incredible to see more of Dave Filoni's characters transition over from animation into live action. I know some of you guys won't agree with that, but I trust Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau to pull it off right, and to not do anything too crazy with the characters. We also know that Dave Filoni is directing episode 5 of this season, so if Bo-Katan does make a small appearance in the episode, she will probably stick around until at least episode 5, where Ahsoka will most likely come into the story. If the Mandalorian covert on the water moon are actually made up of night owls, then we may even get a small, vague hint at Ahsoka's upcoming appearance in the show. Maybe something about how she fought valiantly at the Siege of Mandalore to remove Maul from power and to capture him. That would be an awesome tie-in to the Clone Wars Season 7 and would certainly help to make the Mando feel part of the larger galaxy. If that's the case, we're also going to get a lot more information about the Night of a Thousand Tears and the horrific actions that were taken on that night. I really thought we were going to see it in the final arc of the Clone Wars Season 7, so the fact that it wasn't in there means they're probably saving it to show very soon. So that was my quick theory for The Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 3, or Chapter 11, as it is also called. Let me know down below what you think of it, and how you think Sasha Banks' character may tie into the show. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button with the bell button on to be notified as soon as I release my Mando Chapter 11 breakdown plus recap video the moment the show releases on Disney+. Also remember to go check out that Rook cast is the Armorer theory in the pinned comment down below and the little card on screen now. I think you'll love it. Cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one.